Miracle stem cell treatments. Introduction. What are stem cells? Stem cells are cells with massive potential. They have the ability to develop into many different types of cells, such as muscle cells, blood cells, and brain cells. The two main types of stem cells are embryonic and adult stem cells. Embryonic stem cells are derived from embryos at a developmental stage, about 3 to 5 days old. These cells are pluripotent, which means they have the ability to divide into more stem cells or become any other type of cell in the body. Adult stem cells are primarily used to repair damaged organs and tissue, but they are not as capable of regrowth and variety of cell type as embryonic stem cells. Their origin is unknown, but many theories suggest these cells are set aside during the development of the fetus. Stem cells have the ability to divide and renew themselves for long periods of time. Usually, they are able to keep this up for the entire lifespan of a human. Both stem cell types are unspecialized, allowing them to become a variety of types of cells. What is sickle cell anemia? Sickle cell anemia is a disease that causes a mutation in red blood cells. This mutation weakens the cells and causes them to take on a sickle shape, rather than their round disc shape. Since the cells die off early, many conditions or complications are caused, such as a low oxygen level in the body, fatigue, pain crises, which usually occur in the joints, and can also cause strokes, acute chest syndrome, and pulmonary hypertension. How do you treat sickle cell anemia? Treatments given to a majority of sickle cell patients are only able to reduce pain and discomfort caused by the disease's symptoms, not actually treat the disease. The most common form of treatment is medication. These drugs have the ability to suppress the symptoms but cause damage to other organs, which can limit the patient's lifespan. Blood transfusions are another popular treatment method, but are needed as often as twice a month to keep the symptoms at bay. A new hope from stem cells. Stem cells are giving hope to patients and doctors as a possible cure for the disease. A bone marrow transplant containing healthy red blood cells as well as new stem cells has shown promising results. When this method was first developed, doctors and scientists thought it was only possible to do on children. Despite the high risk, children's bodies were thought to respond better than adults' bodies. This is because the risks and effects of such an intense procedure change with age, and it was thought to be dangerous for adults because they have been through much more treatment than children have, which would make their bodies quite weaker. Miracle confirmed. A study done by the National Institute of Health proved that bone marrow transplants are not nearly as dangerous for adults as originally thought. They conducted a study of 30 people, aged 16 to 65, with severe cases of sickle cell anemia, and gave them a bone marrow transplant. 26 of 30 participants had their case of sickle cell anemia reversed, while 50% of the participants were off their immunosuppressive medications within a year after the procedure. The transplant process. Before the procedure can take place, a healthy donor must be identified. The donor is usually a healthy sibling or other family member with a similar blood type. Then, the patient is treated with drugs to break down their defective bone marrow. The procedure is done through an IV system and has a lengthy time. Soon after, the donor's marrow will slowly begin to replace the patient's weakened marrow. The recovery time is expected to take 1 to 2 months in the hospital. Patients are kept this long to ensure the donor's marrow is not rejected by the patient's body, and to protect the patient's compromised immune system and avoid contracting a sickness that could possibly be fatal to the patient. Conclusion. The discovery of a cure for sickle cell anemia will change lives forever. Bone marrow transplants containing stem cells have proved to cure almost 90% of patients who underwent the procedure. Despite the promising news, many Americans are still struggling with the disease, especially those of African descent. According to the CDC, about 1 in 365 African Americans are diagnosed with sickle cell at birth, making the number of Americans living with the disease climb well over 100,000. In order to change and even save more lives, work must be done to make the bone marrow transplants widely available to end people's suffering. Stem cells have unlimited potential to save countless lives. These sources contain the information previously discussed. Stem cell treatments are continuously evolving, and this information is valid at the time this video was filmed.